if this is what is on your spirit, then do it. But what I have found in speaking to, oh my goodness, hundreds of women of color, is we don't know how, if we don't always know how to leverage our education and our certification.
Right. Hello, it is your girl Camille B, the HR counselor. I am super excited today to introduce to everyone Miss Latrice Huff, leadership coach and career success expert with Talent Stays.
I actually spoke to a woman. She was getting her master's degree. She was getting it, and she was actually going to be making less money. And I was like, in the same industry. I was like, come
Yeah.
on. Another lady called, like when people speak to me, it can get very emotional because they're feeling vulnerable. And I do ask a lot of questions. I
Yes,
ask a lot of
yes,
questions.
Latrice does. If you ever speak to her, yes, she does.
But it's all in the, but it's all under the reason to see what is at the core. And sometimes you can't do that in 20 minutes, but I can get to like one thing and just say like, hey, that's a thought. You can do so much better.
Mm.
You can do so much, right? So if you want to get a certification, go ahead and get it. If you want to get education, go ahead and get it. But it shouldn't be a either or, and that's what I see. I'm gonna get this certification instead of looking for another job, even though I hate my current job. They're 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 not treating me right and I'm being underpaid, but I'm gonna get this certification. Or I tell them, why can't you do both? Or what I tell a lot of my clients, why can't you work on spend those next 3 months instead of in this class, landing a new job and then negotiate for them to pay for your certification?
I laugh, Latrice. You know I'm gonna laugh because it makes sense and it sounds right and it sounds good. But I think a lot of us, being a person of color, I know y'all can barely tell that, right? But being a woman of color,
The glowing, lovely
in
skin.
all my melanin
You
glory,
look
we
beautiful.
forget that sometimes. Like, wait a minute, ask for that? Like, like it's okay. But I find that a lot of our counterparts, they will ask for that. And then so if anything, let's kind of look and see what they're doing and then model it. Why not? Why can't we do the same thing? And not just that, why do we feel like we need to have 10 I am not that woman of color with all of those insignias and degrees. I have one. I barely wanted to do that. But I figured it was the right, I got my bachelor's and I am studying to take the SPHR. That is something, but that's a personal goal of mine. But so many of my counterparts, so many of my friends, people of color, my Latinas, my African American friends, they have a laundry list behind their name. It's element of PQRSTU. What? Why? ¿Por qué? Why? Why do we have to do that?
Let me tell you.
That's not okay. That's not okay. We need to
I
stop.
had a client, and she's so fun. She knows all over the death. And she was asking me, I said, you done checked so many boxes. You making up boxes to check. You just find things. What about this? You're making up stuff. Like, we both had to laugh. I was like, time out. What do you want? What do you want? If you want to make six figures, know that you deserve it. Know that it can be done, and do it. And do it. And I never tell people it is easy. It's simple. Like I'm saying simple things. This is like what, 30 minutes? I'm like, do this, and here goes some 5 tips, do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, no
Go
doubt.
go out and be great, right? It's simple. It's not always the easy, but it can be done, and it can be done in a short amount of time too. And right now, like we were talking about before, you have so many companies wanting women of color in these leadership roles, wanting. I actually have companies now starting to reach out to me and recruiters coming to me like, Latrice, do you have women who would be great in this? And I like that because sometimes I see what I call like fake diversity, like
Thank you. We're good. We're gonna talk about that.
I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the companies that really legitimately want women of color in these high level roles and they want to pay you. Because I'm going to tell you, six figures, like that 100,000 is just the beginning. Companies are willing to pay 150, 175, 200, 300. I want us to think even beyond that. That 100,000 is just the tip of the iceberg, ladies. I just want you to know that. I just want you to know. I hardly have anyone come to me saying, Latrice, I want 200,000.
Of course
But you
not.
can do it. You can do it. I see people making it. Like I have a client now. I think her salary range was like 130 and she's interviewing for jobs at 150, 200.
Oh, wow. Good for her.
Companies, yes, companies are paying this amount for top talent. And the challenge, and this is why I say you got to know that you're worth it, be able to calculate your contributions. And then when you get in that interview, you cannot just be telling them a list of tasks. They're not looking for doers, they are looking for leaders who can solve a problem,
All
who
right.
can solve a high level problem, and they will pay you a high salary for that. So there are some really good companies out there. Like I always say that, like, there are good companies that will pay you well, that will respect you. And you're always going to have, knuckleheads in companies, that's fine. But if that is not the culture of the company, if a company's culture is good, or what I'm finding, if a company wants you to help change their culture,
No,
which I'm seeing a big shift in now, is
saying that.
companies from the top to the middle, not really. They're really seeing how important it is that they to shift um, the culture of their company to be more inclusive.
And I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is a huge concern for me. And I'm glad that you said that the companies that say they want diversity, because I do see that, we've had so many different events and I actually am in Atlanta. So there were so many different things that happened in 2020. But I noticed it was like everyone made sure they put their glass out there to their employees, we're with you, we stand next to you. And then it got real quiet. And so that shows me what you're really about. Like, are you truly concerned? Let's not have a 2-day discussion. Managers get with your employees. No, we need to really. It's like a deep dive session. We've got to get really uncomfortable having these conversations. Like, I want to see people moving around in these seat, like, oh, and that goes for everyone involved, all nationalities and races and genders. Like, I want everyone to be uncomfortable because only then, when you get uncomfortable in those conversations, can you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Let me tell you, because when I say 100,000 is just the tip of the iceberg, I will also say getting the offer and getting in that role is just the tip of the iceberg. Because once you are in it, you are more visible. You're in this leadership position. You're more visible. They're paying D&I experts out the wahoo, right? Like out the wahoo, right? They're paying them. You're gonna find a little bit of resistance to you, to what you stand for. That's a whole nother issue where now it's gonna be a little bit of that imposter syndrome. So if you're not clear on who you are, what you represent, and when you talk about those uncomfortable conversations, when I see my ladies who get in, the next phase, right, is now, well, Latrice, if I speak up too much, I'm aggressive. If I don't speak up, I'm not contributing to the conversation. Right. So that's kind of like that next level shift. And some people may even be going through that now. And what companies are realizing is like, okay, now you have these amazing, talented women in place and you're not utilizing them. They're not feeling engaged. They're not included. They're there, but are they engaged? Right? Are they giving you what they have to offer? And a lot of times it's a no, right?
A
So
hard no.
it's a hard no. So one of the things that I'm going to be working on, actually starting this summer, is actually going into organizations and helping them develop and coach the women of color they already have into very viable, credible leaders within their organization, right?
I love
Because
it.
thank you.
I love it. I love it. I think that's so awesome. But I want you to expound on the imposter syndrome just a little bit for me. Like, go ahead. I want you to talk a little bit about that because that was deep. I was like, oh, she thinks she's gonna skip over that. No, ma'am. Let's bring it on back. Bring it on back.
Well, let me just start that we all have it, including myself. Each time you go to another level in your career, in your business, even we feel it in our personal life. Like when I got married, and I got married, I was 34, right? And my husband and I had been together, but then when we got married, I felt a little like, do I know what I'm doing as a wife? Right. And then now I'm a military spouse, and I kind of felt like I don't fit in here. I mean, I actually did, but that was my feeling, right? So when we get into a new role and a new level of our career, yes, you're going to have this outside stuff going on, but a lot is just internal, right? Especially when we're making a salary that we've never made before. All if you're not clear, if you didn't clear up all those issues before, oh, they're gonna come up strong. Do I belong here? Do I deserve this money? I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to say something wrong. Am I not speaking up enough? I don't want to speak up too much and they think I'm taking over the meeting. Or I hear a lot, I just want to go in and watch and see whatever they're doing, right? This is what people tell me. I'm like, but what if they're doing something wrong? They hired you and they're paying you this amount for a reason. So I have women who will come to me after they've gotten promoted or after they've went into a bigger position, and they'll come to me and they'll say they're unclear on their brand. Right. I'm like, okay. And that's an easy language. That's an easy way of saying I'm feeling imposter syndrome.
Right, right. I'm clear on my brand.
Right. I'm that's so I got imposter syndrome. But I don't call them out. I don't call. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm unclear on my brand. Yeah, some cold words. I'm unclear on my. They'll be like, Latrice, I'm unclear on my brand. Okay, let's step back. And 90% of the time, they got into a new position. They're making more money. They're visible. People are looking to them to solve problems, and it's not anything outside of the scope of work they've already been doing. You
Right.
ask them, well, what were you doing 2 years ago? I was solving problems. It's not outside
Right.
the right,
Right.
not
Right.
outside your scope of work, but that imposter syndrome still sinks in. And the best way to get out of that is to really go inside a little bit and to say, okay, why am I feeling like an imposter? Let me create a new thought that says, you have done this before. Because a lot of times our mind is saying, you don't know what you're doing. You're going to do something wrong. You're going to mess this up, or it's going to go away, right? It's going to go
Right.
away. Right. But when you tell yourself, I know what I'm doing, I created this and I can handle anything that comes up. So I can create this again and again and again and again.
So
And then search and then really searching for evidence of how you because your brain is going to play tricks on you. And each day is like, this is new. You've dealt with employee relations before. You've dealt with payroll before. You might not have dealt with a pandemic, but you've dealt with crisis before. Everyone in HR has dealt with a crisis before, right? You've
right.
dealt with bad managers before. And so that's why I say sometimes it's good to like take a breather, go internal, see what thought is causing this, change that thought. I like to write. I got like books, notebooks, journals everywhere, and really start writing down evidence of like, I did this, I have handled this before, something very similar. And it may take you repeating that over and over again, right?
I love it.
Another thing that I have found is if you can start to show up more authentic. I know what they're telling us is that we need to be someone different. This is where the imposter syndrome really comes from because it's that feeling of I'm not enough. But if you can get comfortable and start showing up more authentic, it's not going to happen overnight, but
No.
slowly start releasing really who you are. Like if you're funny, then joke. If you're more serious, that's fine. If you're more laid back, that's fine. And instead of being someone else, slowly just show who you are. You're always going to have people that don't like it. So what? And you're going to have other people that love it. And you will probably find you have more people that love it because you're going to be more confident and more self assured. You're not going to feel threatened. So you're going to be more willing to listen to other people. to get help instead of I can do everything by myself. That's the imposter syndrome, and I'm not enough. So I have to show them that I can do it instead of delegate. Like I'm leadership.
She's the best. But think about it,
So those are just some
from
of the ways to deal
society
with
has
imposter
made
syndrome.
people feel like they need to behave a certain way, right? They need to speak a certain way, they need to conduct themselves. You can't be too loud, you can't laugh too much. If you say something, you're deemed as aggressive, instead of, I don't like that word. I think that that's not a nice word. I'm not aggressive, I'm assured of myself.
Yeah.
I'm sure of myself. I'm confident. And that's the way why I said what I said. And that's why I said it the way I said it, because I know what I'm talking about. But people will make you feel a certain way because they use certain key words. And instead of us taking it and making it internal, I need to turn around and say, wait a minute, no, that's not who I am. So we got to do a better job of checking people at the door.
Oh yes. So I call it changing the narrative. Oh, I like yours though. Check it at the door. I may start using that term. You got to check it at the door.
Hmm.
What I say is when someone tries to label you, because what I find is that these things stick with us throughout our career. Something somebody said to you 6 years ago. That's why I call it workplace trauma. Is sticking with you, and you're making decisions based on somebody who probably can't even remember your name, right? So, so I can't even remember your name. You make it. Mm-mm,
So
mm-mm,
real.
mm-mm.
True. So
But so changing that narrative is really important. And one of the things I tell people when you're changing the narrative is not to repeat the word. So instead of saying, I'm not aggressive, I'm assertive, if someone says, oh, you're being very aggressive, I have been called that. You can say, I'm assertive, I care about the work and I care about the quality of work. And I would think you would too, right? You can either wait for them to answer, or you can walk away. All right, call me when the work is done. You can hit that in on Zoom. All right, bye then. Ping me when the work is done.
yes, yes, definitely. Because we all
I've
have a job to do.
yeah, I've had people call me Omarosa, like when she was big. Like I have had people say things about my hair, like yeah, all type of stuff. And if you let it, it will rock you. And I have been there. Like my thing was, I'm 40 now, but I was like, I was a single mom for a long time, and I always tended to look younger, right? And so I used to be like, people just look at me as some young dumb black girl, right? That was always my thing. But that was me. Who cares what they thought? I was in HR, I could run a lot of stuff. I was like, who cares? It took me a long time to get to that. And when I stopped trying to prove to people who I was or who I was not, that's when the doors open. That's when the doors open. And I think before we even started, I was saying, even with my business, when I stopped trying to be like, I am everything, I do this, I can help you with whatever, I serve everybody. But I was like, you know what? I work with ambitious women of color. I did that. Opportunities started coming, people started attracting themselves. When I started showing up, all of this, right? Like, let me tell you for real, you need to get it together, right? When I started doing all of that, my clients were getting better results. I was getting a different type of client. I'm getting different types of opportunities. Um, but we are not initially taught that we can do that. And that if we do that, we're like, it's going to be a major consequence. It's going to be a major consequence, right? But it's not
Right.
like it's not, right? So then we
But did
not.
they die? Did someone die? That's what you ask yourself. But
No,
did they
the
die? But did
consequence
they die?
is you're going to be making the money you deserve in a job that you love, working around people who are attracted to your energy and value your contributions. That's what's going to happen when you show up authentically. And just like I told you, we were in a little conversation before that, you're going to repel all those opportunities and people that are not for you. And that is okay. That is
It
actually
is.
preferred. It's actually preferred. So I am okay. I will say this. I just saw I got some trolls, so I really feel like I've made it now. Like you see me with trolls
Right,
about the house.
right.
I know. know, right? And I'm just, I be giving tips and encouragement and stuff. And I got these toes, and I was like, oh my God, I've made it.
You know you've made it when you have a couple of trolls, right? People that are following you, saying little things, getting little digs in here and there. But you know what? I think this conversation is so awesome, and it's a conversation that needs to be had. It needs to continue, because it's really, really true. We have to come to work and feel comfortable in who
Mhm.
you are. You shouldn't have to, I like to crack jokes. I will get loud, but that is who I am. And not every woman of color feels that way, but I came from, I had a mother and a family that was like, you're the best. You're the best, Camille. There's no other Camille better than you. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but this is who I am. You either love me or you hate me. I would prefer that you love me. But if you don't like me, that's okay too. Because everything is not for everybody. But you
Mhm.
got it. You cannot be anyone else but you. So when
Mhm.
you're walking into that building, that organization, and you're providing, because we are an asset, whether they realize it or not. Because when this pandemic hit, honey, HR was everybody's BFF. Okay? For the people that didn't like us, oh, they loving us now. They loving Millie Mill now, right? Because you need us. We're here to help you. And we have not gone through a pandemic like this before, unless you're over 100. And none of us was here, right? But that's just to go to show you that we are an asset. But you have to accept me, my flaws and all, right? My flaws and all. I love the fact that, for the longest, I think in HR and being a person of color, a lot of people felt like, oh, when the natural hair thing started, right? Everybody's like, oh, you can't wear your hair like that. I was like, watch me. And I got so many compliments, because I
Yes.
cut off all my hair and I have it was nice and curly. And I got compliments from non-POC individuals. And it was mostly my Caucasian male leaders that were like, I love your hair. Oh, I can't wait for it. Oh, when it gets big, you should wear it like an afro. I was like, sir, go sit down. Leave me alone. But they were like, a couple was like, and I was like, don't you do it. Don't put your hands, don't touch my hair. But I could tell they were like, and they were like, is that your hair's that curly? Yes, sir, it is. I need you to back it up. But that's just to tell you how excited, sometimes I think we are our worst enemy because we think it's a certain thing. And society did say straight hair was the way to go. Well, my hair doesn't grow out of my scalp straight. So guess what? You get what you get and you don't go with it. This is who I am. And it's versatile. If I want to wear it curly, I can. If I want to straighten it, I can. If I want to slap a relax on it, I can. But I don't have to do that to make you happy because my hair has nothing to do with what I do for your organization. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Latrice, you're awesome. You're awesome. 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 So, what advice would you give to someone wanting your services? How can they reach out to you? How can they connect with you online? Because I know you got a whole bunch of different ways they can connect with
Well, my primary way and place that I play is LinkedIn. I
you.
love
Yes.
LinkedIn. So you can find me under Latrice Huff. Go there. I think it's Latrice Huff SPHR. Yeah. But if
Yes.
you put Latrice Huff, you should see my face. And I think I kind of have my hair the same way, right? So that's the primary place that I do play. I have a Facebook page. So it's like facebook.com/talent stays. And on Facebook, I do a lot of lives. So if you want to see my videos, I think I have like 50 videos. I probably should put them on YouTube, right?
You
I
probably
probably,
should. I love the
um,
lives.
thank you. And I am relaunching my podcast. So that's Career Coffee Chat for Women. And I'm going to put it out. I would love to have this on my I want you on my podcast, but I want this episode on my podcast just so
Yes, definitely. Most definitely.
so we can cross, what they say, cross collaborate.
Yes, for sure. For
We're
sure.
going to do that. And I primarily work with ambitious women of color. I work with all women, but primarily ambitious women of color, meaning you are ready to take your career or your business to the next level. And that's what I help you do.
I love that. And let me just give a little plug for Latrice real quick, because prior to me securing an opportunity with the organization that I work with now, Latrice and I had multiple conversations. So I can say definitely she will have that conversation with you. She will pull out of you things that you didn't realize you had. Um, but you're awesome, Latrice, and I'm so glad that were able to connect. And definitely, you know that I'm going to share this with you, so you can share it on your site as well. And I just want to thank you again, Latrice. Again, this is Mrs. Latrice Huff. She is leadership coach and career success expert with Talent Stays. Go check her out on LinkedIn. She's awesome. Thank you so much, Latrice.
Thank you. This has been amazing.
Yes, have a great one too.
Yeah.